I find it so funny that every time I do my hair, I have to basically tilt the camera down a little bit because there's a lot of empty space for my poofy hair. There we go. Oh, hi. It's been a while since I made a video about content creators in general and not just focusing on live streamers. And also it's been a while since I made a video talking about, 5 things to this and that and 10 random tips about this. So here we are. Today, I wrote down 10 mistakes that I see content creators doing all the time. And in this video, I'm going to try my best to not only tell you about the mistakes, but also give you an alternative, a good alternative on what to do to avoid those mistakes or to correct them if you already made them. Always take those kinds of videos with a grain of salt. All advice is good advice. Not all advice applies to you. So it's up to you to decide if the advice applies to your specific situation, because there's no way for me to know that. Anyways, quick message from our sponsor and then we can begin. And this video is sponsored by Owned. Owned is the one-stop shop for live streamers. If you want overlays, you want emotes, you want animated emotes, you want badges, anything you need. But one thing that should grab your attention right now is that they have the official Call of Duty overlays for live streamers. So this is not something inspired, this is not something made to vaguely resemble, this is officially licensed overlays. And it's complete with intermission screens, your just chatting scenes, your camera overlays, even if you have a green screen, they thought of that. You got your labels bars, your animated alerts, and everything you need to make your Twitch channel look great. And I know I mentioned Twitch, but it's not the only platform that's supported. You're gonna have Kick, you're gonna have YouTube, absolutely everything you need. So go check it out over at owned.gg/GaelLevel. That is own3d.gg/GaelLevel. All right, there's no order. This is probably gonna be just a blah, blah, blah video. So if you have stuff to do, if you wanna do the dishes while you're listening, this might be more of a podcast thing, mostly because I don't wanna edit it that much. So there's nothing apart from my beautiful face. There's not much to see. Just listen to what I have to say. Number 1, there's no real order. Perfection, of course. Perfection. We all have this friend that called themselves a perfectionist, but doesn't have a portfolio. We all know it needs to be right. Oh, I need to do a maximum amount of research and blah, 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 just to end up doing nothing, basically. And to me, it's basically the biggest thing that is stopping people from starting. They all put this bar so high when it comes to what is the standard of any platform that they're on. They think that, if I make a YouTube video, it has to look exactly like a Mr. Beast video, when it's not true. When they know it's not true, because they also watch people that don't edit their videos at all most of the time and are still successful. But also, it goes against the nature of humans in learning. It's like you can't be great at something that you started doing for the first time, especially when it has to do with art. Because I talk about content creation as a career and all that, but at the end of the day, you are an entertainer. You are doing video editing, you are filming yourself, you are filming moving images. It's art. It's art at the end of the day. So it's no different than picking up a pen and paper or a pencil and paper and drawing something. Now imagine if I kept telling you how much I want to be this amazing artist and I never actually want to draw anything on paper because I'm not ready yet, because I want to learn. I want to watch a billion tutorials before I finally start practicing. So perfection is not a good thing in this case. But to give you hope, usually perfection is people being very hard on themselves and setting expectations very, very high on themselves. What I need to do is basically reassure you that when you're starting out, the format is not that important. First of all, starting out is the best thing that you can do for yourself, because if you're really a perfectionist, then you will do something over and over and over again. I like to use video games as an example. If you play Dark Souls or whatever, how do you beat a boss in Dark Souls the first time you play it? You're going to show up, you're going to lose, of course, but you're going to go back and you're going to do it over and over and over again. It's the exact same thing for content. Let's take a YouTuber, for example. It's like you post one video. It's not great. Of course, it's your very first video, but you're going to pick this one apart and you're going to figure out what's wrong with it. And you're going to improve the next time and then the next time and then the next time until you can do like a speed run of the boss, right? Until you know exactly every move that the boss can possibly have and you know how to dodge it. Sure, you might get some tips and tricks by watching a YouTube video on the boss, but if you never actually pick up the controller to go get the boss, you'll never win. So my advice is, it's okay to want to be perfect. Be perfect on your 10th video. Do not put the perfection expectation on the very first one. Number 2 is not enough eggs. So you know the expression, don't put all your eggs in one basket? Yes, absolutely do not put your eggs in one single basket. You need to be basically everywhere. As a content creator, I probably wrote that down thinking about Twitch streamers who just want to stream and don't want to do anything else anywhere else. I like to say that content creation is not a beauty contest because it is a presence contest. Being present, being everywhere is what is going to help you the most, basically. People knowing about you, being familiar with your content is really going to be like the core of your notoriety, of your popularity, of your infamy. So being on a platform, even if it's working really well, and sticking to that platform, being loyal to that platform is never a good idea for so many reasons that I can't even list them all. But for example, you get banned, something happens, it's unfair, whatever. Your account gets hacked and then the person, I don't know, live streams something bad on it and then you get banned and then you get no communication with the platform. Congrats, you put all your eggs in one basket and someone snatched it from you. Now you're eggless. What are you gonna do? You're eggless. Whereas if you're actually present absolutely everywhere and your influence is basically spread out on the whole internet, yes, if something happens on one platform, it can be devastating. It's fine, but at least you still have an audience to communicate with elsewhere. And that might actually help you get your account back on that one platform. And that's just with the example of getting banned. As a content creator, you don't always get to do what you want. Believe it or not, I know like that's the whole point of the job. Oh, I'm supposed to have fun. But if you turn it into a job, by definition, almost, it means that there are some parts that you're gonna absolutely not like. There are parts that I don't like. I don't like having to figure out good titles for people to click on. I hate the idea that all the work that I put in a video can be negated if the thumbnail plus title just doesn't do well. Absolutely hate that. I hate that I have to look up keywords, that I have to learn about SEO and stuff like that. I just want to make videos. I just have stuff to say and I want to share it with y'all. But that's the name of the game. If I want to do this professionally, then I have to do the awful parts to make a living out of the awesome parts. And the reason I talk about, the parts that you don't like is that some people are opposed. I'm not saying necessarily go against your principles and things like that, but there's always protest when there's new features on existing platforms or when there's new platforms. Everyone is like, oh no, blah, blah, blah. You're an artist. You're a content creator. You're supposed to enjoy creating at least. Now there's a new platform that allows you to create on there that is less saturated than the ones that you're already in. You should be happy. But every single time we just see that people are protesting against, oh, what? Twitter got stories now? I don't need stories. You get to reach another audience or you get to reach your own audience even better when things like that happen. So you need to embrace those opportunities because they are good for you, no matter how long they last. I know that Twitter doesn't have stories anymore, unfortunately. I liked it. The stories were cool. I hear a lot of live streamers being like, oh, I don't like TikTok. And then meanwhile, TikTok live streamers are thriving. It's like, oh yeah, why don't you like it? Oh, it's because there's cringy content there. There's cringy content everywhere. Oh, there's criminal content there. There's criminal content everywhere. There's criminal content on YouTube. There's cringe on YouTube. Anything you're opposed to, it's already where you are. A subsection of content doesn't represent a whole platform. People are like, oh yeah, it's just teenagers dancing. One of my favorite TikTok account is a guy cleaning pools. He's a pool boy. He literally cleans dirty pools and I can't stop watching it. And he makes a living off of TikTok by cleaning pools. Another one is restoration of like old rusty metal things. There's a spot for everything. So make sure you embrace that kind of stuff. But the big disclaimer is that depending on the type of content that you make, sometimes there are some platforms where it's not necessarily worth it just because of the way the platform is structured. It's up to you to decide that, okay? Instagram. I hate Instagram right now. I can't stand Instagram right now, but I almost broke my light by hitting my table. Anyways, gather yourself more eggs and put them in mini baskets. Number 3, the editing boogeyman. Just like what I talked about, like people are like, yeah, my videos needs to be edited like Mr. Beast is the standard. No, Mr. Beast is like the 0.00000000001% of people who actually needs to have the edit be like that. Or maybe one day you'll have your edits be like that, but most likely you will be a successful YouTuber and you will pay someone to edit for you. But when Mr. Beast started, he didn't start like that. Why would you start exactly where he's at after like, what, 10 years of content creation? And then you're in year 1 and you're like, yeah, of course, that makes sense. That's a good parallel. I want to start with the highest. No. If you really want to make content, you will sit down in front of a camera, you will talk to it. If you want to make gaming content, you will record your gameplay and you will post it. When I hear people say stuff like, editing is so hard, I need to learn editing. Are you serious? What type of editing? Are you doing motion design? Are you doing compositing in Adobe After Effects? Are you doing 3D? Are you doing 3D modeling and rendering with camera tracking? No, you're not doing any of that because you don't need to do any of that to be a good YouTuber. In fact, you're watching a video right now where I'm probably using 3 shortcuts to edit the whole thing. And it's probably going to take me 30 minutes. And the 30 minutes is just because I'm hearing myself talk most of the time. I'm just cutting. The zoom in, zoom out, little things you see, those are presets. I don't do them manually anymore because I have a workflow. I just drag and drop them or double click on them and it applies it to the clip and I move on in like half a second. This is stuff that you can learn in one day. Real talk. You cut clips, smash them together. That's it. That's what editing is. So every time you say stuff like, well, my editing needs to be, it doesn't. It doesn't. I know you watch content where they have memes, where they have sound effects and all that. You are starting out. You don't need all that stuff. Yes, you can add that stuff a little bit later when you actually have a workflow. When you're really good at cutting clips and just smashing them together, then you can be like, okay, how can I add to this? But if you're starting out and you're like, I want subtitles on the screen and I want them to jiggle. I also want my screen to zoom in and zoom out. I also want sound effects. And then, but you don't know anything about audio, mixing and mastering. The sound effects that you're going to put are going to be way too loud. One ding. Too much and someone is clicking off your video and never coming back to your channel. That meme that you desperately wanted to put in your video, you leave it in a little too long. So it takes out all the funny part of it because you haven't edited enough to understand the pacing of editing and how people can get bored just because you added 1 extra second of a meme, especially if it's a meme they already know. So the advice is start as simple as possible. Every fancy thing that you think is going to embellish the video, it's not worth it. It's not worth it. If you really, really feel like you need to put those things, that means that you recorded a bad video to begin with. Work on that instead. Work on editing interesting videos so that you don't need memes to elevate it. Of course, maybe it would be better with the memes and the sound effects or blah, 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 but you just started. Right now, you need to focus on posting stuff, establishing your presence, and then slowly injecting more little tricks that you learn. And please, if you're putting sound effects, like listen to it on headphones. I'm tired of newcomers. I'm tired of new YouTubers putting the loudest memes and their stuff exploding my ear holes. Also, last thing about editing. On top of it not being complicated at all, is literally cut, export. The idea of complaining about not being good enough without ever actually learning how to be good. Because it's cool. Yes, you have a new software. Oh, where's the cut tool? Okay, cool. I'm going to click on a thing, cut it, smash it together manually with my mouse and all that stuff. But there's a point where you need to be like, how can I edit faster? What you did on day 1 is not what you're going to do on day 10. It doesn't make sense, right? Your grandma might click on Chrome, open Chrome, go on the address bar, type Google to open up Google, and then type her search in the Google search bar. But you know that, hey, grandma, the address bar also serves as the search bar. It's the same thing as if you were opening. Now you removed a couple of steps in her searching, in her searching routine. You gave her a better workflow. It's the same thing for editing. Anything that's repetitive, anything that you feel like you're moving, you're clicking a little too much, there's probably a keyboard shortcuts. There are techniques that you can use. You can create an empty folder that inside of that folder, there's a project folder, a footage folder, a stock footage folder, a music folder, and all you have to do every time you have a new project is basically copy and paste that folder, and then you put everything from the new project in there so that you don't have to do it anymore. I do the zoom in. I have a preset to scale in immediately to 110% to 120%. And then I have one that slowly scales from 100% to 115, and then one from 100% to 120. So that I don't have to manually go and say, start here and then end here at 120. I just drag and drop. It's faster. Why do I sound so... Am I frustrated? I guess I am frustrated. I've said that so many times to so many people. It's weird to have this thing where, oh, I'm bad at this. And yeah, you tried it twice, and you did the same thing. You didn't learn from the first time at all. You think that is what editing is. The first time you edit with a software, you think that's it. That's the only way to... No. People do this for a living. People are pushing out videos every day. So obviously they have a bunch of tips and tricks to save time. That's what you should focus on. Not the memes, not the sound effects, not the subtitles on screen. Once you master the proper workflow, then yeah, by all means, go learn more stuff. But all right, number 4, titles and thumbnails. Thumbnails are so important. And I feel like people don't respect that, especially newcomers. They'll be like, yeah, well, I did this thing real quick in Microsoft Paint. It doesn't matter, but I worked hard on the video. Editing is so hard. You can tell when a brand new YouTuber makes a YouTube video by the thumbnail. You can tell, you can look at a thumbnail and be like, there's no way. This person is obviously new. And in our heads, we can't help but judge immediately and say, since they're new, what are the odds that I click on this video and it's the best video that I've seen all day? What are the odds? I'm on YouTube. There's literally film companies on this website. There's famous actors with a whole media crew, media company behind their videos. So when you see a crappy thumbnail, you don't think, ooh, let's see what this is all about. No, you think, oh, this is going to be trash. Oh, bad thumbnail, not a lot of views, confusing title with no keywords. It's just a skip. It's just a skip. And it could be a really good video. It could be a very, very decent video. I discover a lot of YouTubers that have less than 10K subs and that make amazing, well-made videos. The thing is, they have good thumbnails, which is why I clicked on them in the first place, but also they don't stay below 10K that long, especially when there's the emergence of something new. Pal World came out, there's a bunch of players and there's a bunch of content creators. I watch some Pal World content and I see people go from 100 subs to 20,000 subs in less than a month because there's already interest in the subject. So the title will feature what I'm looking for. The thumbnail is good and also features what I'm looking for. And it's very obvious. I'm going to click on it. I'm not going to look at the viewer count necessarily, especially if I'm looking for information. It's only after watching the video that I'm like, how many subs does this person have? And I'm like, oh, wow, I thought this was a huge YouTuber because of the quality of the video. But the only reason why I know about the quality of the video is because I clicked on the thumbnail. The thumbnail was clickable. I know someone on Twitter was like, oh, you're wasting your time. There's nothing that says that thumbnail, whatever, man. Like YouTube tells you that stuff. Like in their guidelines, they tell you to make an attractive thumbnail because you get more clicks if you do so. All right, number 5, making content for yourself. And that's going to sound so bad. It's a mistake. Making content just for yourself that caters to only your very particular personal taste is unfortunately sort of a mistake. When you're starting out your career, and I'm only talking about serious people that actually want to make money and also make a career and also be well known and all of that stuff. I'm not saying don't be passionate, but I'm saying that when you're starting out, if you pick a niche, try your best to stick to that niche. I understand that people like me have multiple interests, so it's better for you to have multiple channels. That's why I have multiple channels. Of course, when you're starting out, there's like a little period where you can try multiple things to see what sticks. And unfortunately, sometimes the thing that sticks is not the thing that you're 100% for. Let's say you're doing 2 things and then the thing that you like the least, that's the thing that's blowing up, but you ignore it and you just do the thing that you like. Congratulations, you are practicing a hobby. And there's nothing wrong with practicing a hobby, but you cannot complain about numbers if you insist on practicing a hobby. That makes no sense. I play video games with my friends. No one is giving me money. I don't go complaining about why am I not getting money from playing games with my friends without establishing any structure, without doing any sacrifice, without doing any of the annoying part of turning your passion into a job. Remember that part? So coming up with a solid content plan is, yes, things that you are passionate about, but also that thing needs to be something that correlates with something that a lot of people are passionate about also. If you are unique and you are your own person and not a lot of people are passionate about the same thing as you are, I don't know what to tell you. Like the whole point of being a content creator is to reach a large audience in a way, or at least like a certain size of an audience. If you're constantly doing stuff that you know that no one, like there's no crossover. And let me give an example to be a little more clearer because that might sound so bad. I'm like, oh, don't express your passion and blah, blah, blah. For example, I have a friend who has been posting video game content on their channel, right? So horror game stuff, some GTA stuff, and has cultivated a little bit of a community. This person is also into like DIY stuff, right? And then they asked me, hey, should I put my DIY on the same channel or should I make a separate channel? I'm like, well, it depends. How much are you attached to that gaming community that you build? Because the crossover between people who want to watch you play horror games, for example, and people who are enjoying arts and crafts is like minimal. But that's part of you. That's 2 passions that you have. But if you're mixing those 2 types of content together, you're not going to have a lot of eyeballs left basically to watch your stuff because there's a small chance that this crossover exists. So you're basically making things difficult for you. I guess the advice is try to stick to a niche. Even if you have other passions, it's completely fine to be passionate about stuff. Practice a hobby. I always say get a hobby on top of content creation. Content creation shouldn't be both a hobby and a job because you're going to burn out or you're going to self-sabotage so hard. The latter being like the most popular, to be fair. What are we at? Number 6, high expectations equals no consistency. I need to drink. I'd like to sit here and tell you, hey, please do not allocate any emotions to your content creation journey when you're beginning. You're human. So yes, if you post 1 video, 2 videos, 3 videos, 10 videos, and they all get 0 views, you're going to feel something. You're going to feel something. But I need you to lower your expectations because most likely that's what's going to happen. That's what's going to happen with everyone. When you're starting out, like at 0, the algorithm doesn't know who you are. In fact, if you just made the channel, the algorithm automatically assumes that you're a bot, a scammer, some sort of malware promoting weird channel. And you basically have to prove your existence as a human, but also your category, your niche. So it needs data in order to be like, you're cool. Let me recommend you to people who like whatever you're doing here. And sometimes it takes 10 videos. Sometimes it takes 30 videos. The problem with high expectations is that most people, when they post 5 videos and they're like, they're not getting any views, so this is not working. It discourages them and makes them, be a little less consistent. The truth is, if you set a schedule or something like that, the faster you push out a bunch of content in the same niche, in the same category, the faster the algorithm will figure it out and start recommending you. So do not let that demotivate you. Keep pushing. It is not impossible. There is no weird bug or overlord trying to put you down and you're not the unluckiest person on earth. I've had friends be stuck at 0,000 and then poof, all of a sudden 1,000 views in one of their videos. And then from there on, I don't want to say smooth sailing, but smoother sailing from there. So keep your head up. You're starting from 0. The expected number of views that you want to get is 0. The goal when you're starting is to put out content, is to push out content, feed the daddy algorithm, feed it content, okay? Make it take your content and blah, blah, blah. And then enlightenment happens and they're like, you make content about skateboards or whatever you do. And that is valid for pretty much every platform. Of course, I'm talking in terms of expectations. That's not always that happens. There are people that upload their first YouTube video and it immediately goes viral, okay? You don't have to comment being like, well, when I posted my first video, it actually got 1,000. I don't care. What is it, 7? I lost count. Another mistake is not linking your activities together. And this usually happens when you're planning, but a lot of people just don't plan. They're like, well, I'm gonna start making videos about this. And then they just flail around and with no actual goals. During the planning, you need to know exactly how one activity can help the other activity. Remember those eggs? Basically, we want to create some sort of network between those eggs. The easiest thing for me to do is to talk about my personal experience. Of course, I make videos for live streamers, mostly. Content creators in general, but with a little niche of live streamers. And even within that niche, it's mostly like Twitch streamers. Cool. So Twitch streamers come to my channel, they get knowledge for free. They are grateful. And then I get money through YouTube AdSense, which is cool. And I have a little bit of influence. So I figure out what kind of products would a Twitch streamer need. Coincidentally, I'm a graphic designer. So I make graphics that pretty much every Twitch streamer is going to want at least to have graphics. And they're going to have their brand, which is something that is pretty important for them. So I create those, put them up on Gumroad, and you can download them right now on gumroad.com/getlevel. Most of them are free because when I started my career, my whole thing was to basically make things accessible for people, which is why I give advice for free. And then people can get overlays for free, right? Made by a professional graphic designer. And then if they want more complex things that take me way more effort and more time to make, then they can pay a small fee, right? I'm here on YouTube. I make videos about Twitch, but I also stream on Twitch. So since I'm building an audience on YouTube, I can tell them, hey, go follow me on Twitch. Hey, go follow me on Twitch. So now when I'm streaming on Twitch, I get more viewers just because I said so in the video. When I'm live streaming on Twitch, this is where people can have an actual conversation with me. If they ask questions about live streaming in general, I direct them to the YouTube. So it's a two-way thing. If they're looking for overlays, I send them to the Gumroad. And since I can't stream forever and they still want to have a conversation and still want to keep up with what I do, I direct them towards my Twitter. More links. When I make YouTube videos like this, what I would do is chop them up. I would cut them, post them on TikTok, where I am part of the creativity program, I think it's called. So those are also monetized. So my YouTube basically feeds my TikTok, where I'm also being paid basically for those TikToks. Some people don't want to watch a full YouTube video, then they get access to my content. So on top of, getting paid basically AdSense money from both YouTube and TikTok for the same content, I'm also spreading my image online. My face is going to be everywhere. I'm reaching more people. And sometimes when I have new overlay packs, I will advertise them on TikTok, which will bring them to my Gumroad. So earlier when I talked about having your eggs in multiple baskets, you don't just do it for the sake of doing it. You're not just present on all social media just to be present on all social media. You can absolutely And I absolutely hate this word, but you can funnel people from one to the other, depending on what they are interested in doing, depending on how they want to support you. For example, if you have a Patreon, you can bring people to your Patreon. You can be like, hey, actually sub to my Patreon. I give this, I don't have a Patreon, but you know what I mean? So depending on your niche, you want to basically look around. What are people doing? Where are people present? And then in the future, you might even anticipate and be somewhere that people in your niche are not, and actually just dominate the market. The market here being attention. Is that number 8? All right, number 8, again, gonna sound very bad. Being too much of a consumer. Being too much of there's nothing wrong with being a consumer. We all consume content, entertainment in general. But when you're a content creator, you're basically in an industry where there's supply and there's demand. You cannot consume your own product. Or if you do, you got to be moderate with it. Basically, in content creation, there's a lot of chatter. The social aspect is pure chaos, and there's a ton of chatter. If you are too focused on consuming what other content creators are putting out, you might fall into the trap of just spending too much time doing just that, or revolving your whole content around that. I don't even know how can I explain it better? Basically, if you are an artist and you're trying to become a star, you can't spend all your time and money at other people's concerts. It's okay to be a fan, but if you are not organizing your own concerts, your own tours, you're just never gonna be that star. You're never gonna be in that level. So that's what I mean. There's this myth here on YouTube that gurus love to say, collabs, man, collabs is what's going to make you grow. That's not true. But being too much of a fan can also hinder your potential collabs, right? Collabs happen. They should be, well, in my opinion, they should be natural. Sometimes they're not, and that's completely fine. But it's basically difficult for you to build your own community, a community that revolves around you when you are a little too much part of another community that revolves around someone else. Hopefully that makes sense. I'm not sure if that makes complete sense, but it's just the consumer and producer. Producer, is that the right word? But yeah, basically you can't be an addict to the product that you're selling and expect to be good at selling that product. I've been watching Snowfall, so excuse the very drug-related metaphors. Number 9. It has to do with advice, ironically, or unironically, I don't know. It has to do with advice, ironically. Content creation is very accessible, which is great. It's a good thing. Nice. And everyone has a voice on the internet, which is a good thing, which is nice. A large majority of people who say they are really content creators. But hear me out. A large majority of people who say they are content creators, you go to their bio, they have, the link tree with all sorts of platforms and all that stuff. They don't have the same objective as you. Most of them, the large majority, they have their day job and they never envision themselves actually putting in enough work to do content creation full time. Another but, they will never admit that to you. They will never say that to you because they get benefits. There's a bunch of amazing stuff that you get from content creation at a lower level, as in without putting that much of an effort, right? You get gifts, you make money, attention. You may not be making like a living off of it, but those are cool things. And you can get this by doing the bare minimum, which is what most people are willing to do. So without ever admitting it to you, this is their goal. This is where they're going to stay forever. And I would like to reiterate that is completely fine. There's nothing pushing you. I'm not taking people who basically do content creation as a hobby, even though they say they want to be full-time, and then push them to become full-time. I'm not trying to change your mind. I'm not trying to shame anyone for that. But I'm talking to the people who really, really, really want it and are really, really anticipating doing everything they can to get it. The people that I referenced are vocal. They are a large majority and they are very, very vocal. So basically, when you enter the community and you're hearing the chatter and you're listening to advice, most of the advice is coming from people who have not accomplished anything that you are trying to. The advice is coming from people who will stay voluntarily stagnant in their position forever. And that's their goal because they have their full-time job and they're just going to do it until they can't anymore. And then maybe in 5 years, they'll give up content creation and they will have had fun. They will have had attention, money, and all that stuff. Now, you watching this video, if you actually want to be a content creator, again, if you don't, that's completely fine. Just don't complain to me because I make videos. That's who my target audience is. Obviously, it's like, hey, how can you optimize content creation for yourself? But yeah, be careful who you're taking advice from. Sometimes it might feel like no one is giving you good advice. And honestly, most of the time, that's because it's true. It's very, very hard to find people at your level that are really also doing everything. Like I'm struggling to find people that are doing that kind of stuff, believe it or not. And I have so many, well, all my friends are content creators, basically. It is a rare thing, which, you know, if we want to go deep into the philosophy and, why do, you know, the top 1% are the ones that have all of the success and the views and blah, blah, blah. Maybe there's a correlation. I don't want to get into that. I don't do sociology about content creation. All I'm saying is that through my experience, it is extremely rare to find someone who calls themselves a content creator and is actually doing everything to do it for real, to do it full time, that are compromising, that are sacrificing, that are consistent, that are not coming up with excuses, and that are giving it their all just as much as they would give a full-time day-to-day job. And then there's 99%. They have their day job. They have, I don't know, some form of income somewhere, maybe there. And then they're very, very present in the content creator space. Again, I'm not shaming those people. There's nothing wrong with what they're doing, okay? I'm just saying that everyone is a content creator. Not everyone has the same objectives. So you need to be able to recognize that and focus and listen to the advice from people who either have already accomplished what you're aiming for or are looking to accomplish exactly what you're aiming for, but also are really, really doing it, right? Because everyone will tell you. If I go in a crowd and I say, who wants to be rich? Everyone's going to yell, me, 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 me. But then if I come up with a business plan, I'm like, okay, this is what you're going to do step by step, step by step. Do you think everyone is going to be like, okay, let me do that? That's usually where all the excuses come, right? But also I say excuses, but you know, some people are not in a position where they can do that business plan that I come up with. So that's why I want to make sure you understand that I'm not shaming those people. At the end of the day, everyone does what they want. You just need to know that the accessibility of content creation makes it so that everyone seems like they're heading towards the same goal, but it's not true. And no one will tell you that. The people around you will not tell you that. I mean, sometimes they'll drop some hints. Those are usually telltale signs that, either this is going to be stagnant or they're going to abandon in a couple years. If that's not you and if that's not what you want for your career, then be careful who you're taking advice from. That's it. Ooh, I cannot wait to read angry comments about that. All right, last thing, number 10 is sacrificing a little too much. Sacrificing too much. Unfortunately, there is a big uncertainty with this job. All right. It's great. You get to do what you're passionate about sometimes, not always. But we have the opposite of the people that I was talking about earlier. Sometimes we have like the hard grinders that just do a little too much. It is not different from flailing and not having a plan. If your plan is to, I'm going to do this as much as I physically can, right? You'll have Twitch streamers that are like, I'm just going to stream every single day, 12 hours a day. And then they realize, why is it not working? Why is it not working? And then it's like they're destroying their health without thinking that, maybe having a break would be cool. Like a day where I take a break, or another day where I actually learn about social media and marketing so I can learn how to advertise my stream a little bit better to bring more people. Maybe I should look at this new social media that everyone's talking about. Maybe I should pick one of the other social medias where most people are in general and try to funnel people from there to my live stream so I can get more views. So you literally get more successful by streaming less. But if you're a hard grinder, you don't think like that. You just think, yeah, this thing, the more I do it, the more success. You know, Twitch doesn't have a proper algorithm that is forcing people to watch you. It has an algorithm that will suggest you in specific parts of the website where people are not necessarily hanging out, but they don't force you. When YouTube suggests the next video, it's forcing you to look at the thumbnail. You're not going to ignore the thumbnail. You're going to look at it. It's forcing you. And it's right next to the actual content that you came here to watch. That's what I call forcing. On TikTok, for example, you're in a For You page. So basically everything is forced. They're showing you things that you didn't search for. When a platform like Twitch is not like that. So even if you stream 24 hours a day when you're starting out, the only traffic that you're going to get is the small amount of people that find you in their recommended, if you are recommended, and also the people that are searching a category and that are just scrolling down and randomly pick you up in a sea of like hundreds and thousands and tens of thousands of other streamers. So yes, of course, you will increase the chances by being live more often. But is that sustainable? Is that what you want? Is that your goal in life? Is that the goal for your career, is to just be in front of your camera alive and entertaining for 24 hours a day? Maybe it is. Maybe it is. It just doesn't sound sane. It doesn't sound healthy. I couldn't personally. I don't even want to do it 12 hours a day. I don't even want to work 10 hours a day. I don't want to work 7 hours a day. That's the whole point of me being a content creator. If I wanted to work 7 hours a day, I would get a diploma and get a proper job. The pros and cons of being a content creator is the whole point is that you get paid more if you're successful. You get paid more than any other job that you possibly can get, and you spend less time working because part of your job, first of all, is something that you like, that you enjoy, and the part that you don't like is minimal. Right? It's not supposed to be like hours on hours. It's not supposed to be the equivalent of a full-time job because might as well work a full-time job. That's just one example of sacrificing too much. Some people will start on social media. They want to make YouTube videos, for example, and they'll say, hey, you know what? I can make my YouTube videos or make my Facebook videos and I can pay Facebook to advertise my video. And that's how I get views. Facebook's algorithm is absolutely horrible. And also it basically takes advantage of you. If you pay for an ad, this is not confirmed, okay? This is conspiracy theory segment. They basically don't show your content to people who already like your own page, first of all, so that you can pay to get them to see it. People do the same with Instagram because you can boost your post. TikTok, I've never done it, so I don't have a lot of experience with their boost feature. But basically, some people start and they're like, oh, hard grinder mentality. I'm going to pay for advertisement. And then they pay. Produce content, pay for ads. Produce content, pay for ads. Produce content, pay for. And it's just a pit of void that they're throwing money into. Because first of all, they don't have time to reflect on the content to know if it's good or not. Their numbers sometimes are inflated artificially. Yes, Facebook is going to show your stuff to someone else. It's going to count it as a view, but that person wasn't interested. They didn't want to see that stuff in the first place. It has nothing to do with the things that they're interested in. Same thing for Instagram and stuff like that. So, and then some people see the word ad and they immediately scroll because they're like, I'm not interested in that, especially if it's an ad for regular content. Taking it seriously is to your detriment. It's definitely not a good thing. And there's multiple ways of doing it. Some people put like a schedule in place and they're like, I'm going to stick to the schedule because schedule equals consistency, good. But then they find themselves waking up one day and feeling sick, for example, or just feeling tired or out of it, or not mentally able to really do their best when it comes to their content. And they're like, oh, I have to force myself to just make content today because that's my schedule. For live streamers, it's like, I have to go live and be on camera today. I have to. And then they cancel the stream and then they feel absolutely awful and guilty. But the next time that happens, they're like, oh, I don't feel like doing this. And then it becomes this weird vicious circle where you turned that thing you're supposed to be passionate about into like chores. You made it miserable. It doesn't have to be miserable. It doesn't have to be miserable at all. So make sure that you trying to be too serious about it and grinding all the time. Don't make yourself miserable about it. It's supposed to be fun. That's the whole point. That's why people call it a dream job. It's because it's so much fun. I'm having fun right now. Just sitting and talking about things that I'm passionate about, yelling at a camera and being frustrated for no reason. That is fun. That's my favorite part. And I have to edit this video. That will also be fun because I'll see myself laughing and saying this part. And I'm looking at you right now, editor guy level. And that part's going to make me laugh too. Anyways, make sure you're still having fun. Make sure you're still passionate. Make sure you still love it. Especially if you're starting out, there's no reason for it to be a stressful thing to do. You set the rules. Just be real with yourself. Don't lie to yourself. Definitely don't lie to me. Don't be like, wow, I really want this thing, but like, I don't really feel like blah, blah, blah. It's like, figure out what you want to sacrifice and figure out what's fun or not fun. If the pros and cons, aka like the parts that you don't want to do, or like if the cons outweigh the pros, then you don't want to do this thing. Don't do it. Don't do things you don't want to do, especially when no one is forcing you. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. If you knew how many live streamers that I know, content creators that I know, that absolutely despise creating content, that hate live streaming. It's the worst thing in their lives. It's stressful. It makes them depressed. That's weird. I don't get it. If you don't like it, don't do it. Find something that you like. So yeah, I guess that was a weird way of saying content creation is not for everyone. Don't push yourself if you realize it's not for you. Try not to lie to yourself. Don't tell people you're trying to go full time when you're not really trying to go full time. When people tell you, hey, have you tried posting on TikTok? And you're like, ugh, I don't like TikTok. It's cringe. I'm not saying you have to be on TikTok. I'm saying that it's a smart move. It would make things easier for you. So you refusing because of principles or whatever, you're like, oh, I don't want to do that because I don't like it. It's like, do you enjoy waking up at 6 a.m. and taking public transport to go to work? Do you like that? Are you happy? Are you ecstatic every single time you have to do that? No, but you still do it and you get to the job and you do the job. So you're capable of bypassing small parts, again, small parts that are not fun about content creator just so that you can get to the fun. Be passionate about something. Find a way of communicating this passion through audio visual means and share it. Sharing it is the most important thing. You being a perfectionist is getting in the way of you sharing it. If you don't share it, you're just a blah, blah, blah. You're just I don't want to shame anyone. I don't want to shame anyone, but I want you to be real with yourself. If you introduce yourself as a content creator and you don't like creating content, why are you doing that? Why are you doing that to yourself? Don't do that to yourself. Take care of yourself. Be happy. Do things that make you happy. Don't stress. Don't impose yourself a schedule. If you know you're the type of person that stresses when they have a schedule, you know that you're going to hate tweeting that you're canceling an event, a video, a stream for the 10th time. Because for your viewers, it's also not cool to see. Because like, I thought you had a schedule. You can still do it without a schedule. There's so many ways to achieve so many things. And again, even with the advice that I'm giving, none of it is like a rule. None of it is like the gospel truth. It's just tiny little thing that people tend to appreciate good audio. Does that stop from some streamers to be like super popular with the most awful mic you ever heard? The crappy mic is like a whole trend, is a cool thing that people love. It's counterintuitive. All right, I'm yapping a little too much now. Just to wrap it up, the goal here is to tell you being serious about something doesn't mean sacrificing everything you have. Doesn't mean sacrificing your health. Doesn't mean sacrificing your mental health. If you have a full-time job and all you want to do is play video games when you come back from home, just do that. Just do that. You don't have to go the extra length telling people that, oh, this is my schedule, telling people, oh, I'm trying to go full time, but I refuse to do other stuff. Like, just do what you got to do. Like, admit that it's a hobby, you know? For example, read my comment section right now. You'll see so many people that are saying, oh, well, I'm glad that I just do it as a hobby, but they're watching me. They're watching videos on how to improve their hobby and nothing wrong with that. But my videos are targeted at people who want to actually do it as a job, as a career. Anyways, just don't impose bad things on yourself when no one else is imposing them on you. It doesn't make sense. Anyways, this video is long enough. Thank you so much for watching. Go out there, make me proud, get level, out.